Okay, welcome back, students. Here we are at week 9 already. We're past the halfway mark. And in this week's lecture, you have two short lectures. And this first one, which is super short, it's really just one strategy slide. I'm going to be talking about pricing. So this is one of your 4 Ps. Last week we were talking about place, and this week we're talking about price. So marketing is responsible for setting pricing. Depending upon the company, some companies are more marketing oriented, some are less. But in the ideal marketing organization where the company adopts the marketing concept and the whole company is kind of centered around satisfying the customer for a profit, then marketing would be responsible for setting pricing. And there's 2 quick strategies I'm going to cover here called price skimming and penetration pricing. Your second lecture is going to go into some specific pricing strategies that can be used to set yourself apart from the competition. So your learning objective, pretty straightforward. Understand these 2 strategies, price skimming and penetration pricing. Wow, here we go. Literally just one slide this week, other than your homework slide, which follows this. So on the left here, you see price skimming or skim the cream pricing, which is an old farming term from when people used to churn butter and make milk, that they would skim the fat off the top of the milk. That was the fattiest part of the milk, and use that to make butter and make cream out of that stuff. So in a marketing context, when we talk about price skimming, what we're talking about is really a profit maximization pricing strategy. That simply means charge as much as you can, as long as you can. And you'll see here on the graph on the left, it shows the initial skim price, a second price, a final price. So what you're doing is, if you have a product that the market demands and there's no competitors, then you can come in at a fairly high price. Now this might sound unethical, but we live in a capitalist society and it's a free market, so the pricing is really set by what the market will bear, supply and demand. If you were launching a pharmaceutical and there was no competing products in that category, now pharmaceuticals have some regulations around them, but you can come in at a relatively high price. And then down the road, that pharmaceutical drug, maybe it's the only drug that cures or reduces Alzheimer's, and they've got a 20-year patent on this new drug, and by the time they got through the Food and Drug Administration clinical trials and all that and got approval to go to market, they only had 7 of those 20 years left to sell the product in the market before the patent wore out and competitors could come in with similar products. So in that 7-year window, they're going to try to recoup all their costs, all their R&D costs. It's very expensive to take drugs to market, and they're going to do a price skimming strategy. At some point, their patent wears out and competitors come in, so they have to drop their price and get more price competitive, probably spend more on marketing and say, buy us, not them. And then they drop to a final price. Bottom line, price skimming strategies are all about maximizing profit. The second pricing strategy is called penetration pricing. So penetration pricing isn't trying to maximize profit, it's trying to maximize market share. Penetration pricing, you're going to come in with a product launch and come in with a low price, maybe even at cost, or sometimes even below cost. And the goal here obviously isn't to really make much of a profit. It's trying to basically sell the whole market and choke out any competition who might be trying to come out with some Me Too products. We're seeing this more commonly in the tech sector, certainly with the battle of all the smartphones. That what used to happen with Apple is they come out with, here's our new phone, it's got a 16 gig and an 8 gig version, see which one people wanted, and they come in with some high prices and then kind of drop prices as they go along. So those early adopters were willing to pay a high price, and then they would drop prices. But what Apple figured out is, we're going to make more money if we can get everybody on an iPhone, and then we'll make our money on the back end by having all these apps and things, and people paying, all these designers and people paying subscriptions to use all the apps related to our iPhone. so they make money on the back end. So that is a penetration pricing strategy. So skimming, maximize profits. Penetration pricing, maximize market share, choke out the competition. It's that simple. Those are your two main pricing strategies. And again, you're seeing companies, because it's global now, that means we're competing with folks from China and Malaysia and Russia and Brazil and countries with lower costs of living and lower standards of living, lower wages, lower environmental protection regulations. So in some of those countries, they can produce goods for less than we can. And they're going to come in with the penetration pricing strategy and try to choke out the competition. So companies still use both strategies, but we're seeing definitely a lot more penetration pricing with our global markets. Okay, that's it for this pricing lecture. You have a quiz, a discussion related to this pricing, and you also have another section of the marketing plan due this week, so make sure you turn to the marketing plan resource page for details on that. Thank you.